Welcome, welcome, welcome. We scream and yell and dance and sing from here. Anyway, I'm Adam Robertson, president of SCERA. We're happy to have be here and help host this with the Chamber of Commerce and the city. We wanted to welcome you here to the SCERA and all of our great candidates. To begin, will you please rise and join with me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance? Right over here, to my right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. I did ask Councilmember Spencer to sing the national anthem, and he declined. Okay. Before I introduce our moderator tonight and the host of this event, I asked if I could just take a moment and take my SCERA hat off now and put my Orem Citizens for Care hat on. For those of you that don't know what CARE is, the CARE program that stands for Cultural Arts and Recreation Enrichment. And it is a sales tax. It's 1/10 of 1%. Anyone who shops in Orem pays this tax. Many cities to our north, including all of Salt Lake County, and many to our south, all the way down to St. George, have a similar RAP, PARC, ZAP. It has different acronyms. Ours is CARE, Care for Orem. Over the years, this tax, we first passed this tax in 2005. The first set was 8 years, and then the legislature changed that, and so in 2013 we were able to pass it again as a city, and it's up again on the ballot this year, and every 10 years is the plan now. The CARE program has supported and funded many great projects in our city that you may know the projects but not where the funding came from, so let me just list a few. The indoor leisure pool at our rec center, the indoor water playground, youth sports leagues, Palisade Park splash pad, Lakeside Sports Park, Geneva pickleball courts, and other pickleball courts throughout our city, the Altogether Playground, the Orem Dog Park, Toddler Playgrounds, the new Hillcrest Park, Sharon Playground, shade structures at our ball fields, Wi-Fi in the parks, many other park improvements, the SCERA Center for the Arts, the James C. Christensen Memorial Park, the Utah Metropolitan Ballet, the Colonial Heritage Festival every year in the park, the Orem Library Hall, Grassroots Shakespeare, activities at the SCERA Shell, public art projects, and so many more, too many to list. All of these have been funded by the CARE program. And it really is, again, a great thing. Anybody who shops here is paying it, but the 100% of the money stays here. And our city council allocates those funds every year. We do have a citizen group, a CARE commission that is appointed by our council to serve and to help make those recommendations and represent us citizens. But we really hope that the CARE will continue to pass again. It's the only other initiative on the ballot besides choosing our candidates for city council. I might add all of the current city council and our mayor and all of the folks sitting up here are in support of the CARE program. So we hope that you will help us get the word out as well and that you will vote yes this November for our CARE program. We do have some signs, yard signs, and information out in the lobby as well. We hope that you'll take some and put them in your neighbors' yards while you're at it. Okay, I'm just kidding. Our moderator for tonight is President and CEO of the Utah Valley Chamber of Commerce, Curtis Blair. He is a well-known entrepreneur here in our valley, has helped many businesses to great success. He serves on various boards, including chair of the UVU Wolverine Club, a member of the UVU Foundation, and the adoptalife.org board. He also serves on the Utah Lake Authority Board and Meals on Wheels. He is a former trustee of the Utah Valley University and past president of the UVU Alumni Association. He's a BYU grad from the College of Humanities. Curtis holds a deep appreciation for the cultures and the people of the world. Having conducted business in over 14 countries, Curtis has nurtured international relationships and managed teams and backgrounds and experiences as diverse as their respective languages, food, and customs. Curtis cooks a delicious white egg omelet and enjoys competing in triathlons and playing golf and sports activities. He says they are cheaper than psychotherapy, so he's glad for that. Curtis is the father of 5, having been raised equally on equal time on both the East and West Coast. He is married to the beautiful Lisa Erickson of California, who loves dark chocolate, a good book, and the sound of ocean waves. Would you please welcome our moderator for tonight, President and CEO of the Utah Valley Chamber of Commerce, Curtis Blair.
When I first met Adam Robertson, and it was just about 3 years ago, and I was asked to run the Chamber of Commerce, and we sat down to get to know each other a little bit better, and we found out that we are really only like 2 degrees of separation from about 24 contacts in our Rolodex, and I just couldn't believe it. How is it that I've made it this far in life without knowing Adam J. Robertson? And ever since then, I bet we speak probably every 10 days in the last 3 years, and he's been a true champion for our community and does an amazing job here at SCERA. And so I know that we're not going to take the time to ask about our candidate's disposition regarding the CARE Act or the CARE tax, and it's been a true joy. We are grateful for SCERA and all that they do for our community and helping to host our event tonight. So thank you for that intro. And candidates, it's great to meet you. We're going to do some intros and rules of engagement in just a moment. But we'd like to welcome our guests, our dignitaries, or even our own mayor from Orem and others that are with us tonight. We appreciate your care and concern for the city of Orem. And we thank the city of Orem for their collaboration in helping put this event together this evening. So last night, you candidates, you all participated in a debate, right, sponsored by the PTSA at Mountain View High School, where you probably focused on the questions regarding education, teacher resources, Orem's relationship with the Alpine School District. Tonight, our questions will be centered around the business community. What role communities and cities play in cultivating a positive business environment, workforce development, and preserving and protecting the quality of life so that our employers can hopefully afford and provide for those that live, work, and play here an opportunity to stay in this community where they work. The questions I've been given were curated by our Board of Governors, which includes all of the past chairs of the Board of the Chamber of Commerce, and that dates back several decades now. Our county commissioners, our mayors, and legislators in Utah County. In full transparency, both the mayor of Orem and the current executive chair of our chamber board, the former Governor Gary R. Herbert, serve on the Chamber's Board of Governors. And in the spirit of brevity and efficiency, we won't take the time on this stage to review each of your bios, but you can find them and watch their 5 to 8 minute video about why each candidate feels they are prepared to lead as your city council representative at orem.org/candidates 2023. And I had the chance to review all of their videos over the weekend in preparation for tonight, and they indeed each are qualified, and look forward to hearing what your disposition is, your thoughts, feelings, and solutions are for some of the issues and opportunities facing Orem and our regional community here. Now for the rules of engagement, having moderated other debates, including the mayoral and city council debates in Orem 2 years ago, along with the commissioners debate last year, and next week Vineyards debate for city councilmen and women there. It's been my experience that these debates go well when we work together to have a good experience. This includes allowing civility and respect to be the foundational drivers of our behavior. Please, no applauses during the Q&A portion of the debate. There will be time at the end. of the debate for an applause. Vocal comments or outbursts, including booing and hissing, are not appropriate for this venue. They're not tolerated. Let's leave those for the Halloween festivities later. And the only method of feedback can be a thumbs up or a thumbs down. No other fingers allowed, please, tonight. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer each question. After every candidate has answered, then the candidates each will have 3 minutes to debate between each other regarding the question that is asked. After that time, we'll move on to the next question, and I will do my best to rotate who receives the next question. At the conclusion of the debate, each council candidate will be given 90 seconds, roughly, to give their final statement. And with that, I think we can begin. And we'll just begin down the road. It'll make it real easy as we start with Chris here. And this question will be presented to each of you. What do you feel are the biggest issues facing Orem residents today?
Make sure we get the mic on here.
I think that they'll just click it right on as you speak.
Test, test. Okay, good. Thank you. Nice. One more time, sorry.
What are the biggest issues facing Orem residents today?
Thank you. I think some of the biggest issues facing Orem residents are the challenges with the future and the ideas of what they're thinking, what will happen. That uncertainty of in the next 30 years, our county will double in size. And so what does that mean? What does that mean for our current neighborhoods? Other concerns that our citizens have is how do I get from place A to place B through the traffic routes that I currently take, and what will that mean for the future? Also, with the economic concerns and challenges, how are the businesses that I go to today, how will they flourish, and what do we have within the city that will help them to continue to be here into the future? So I think those are some of the major challenges that the citizens face. I think in the business community, we have a challenge with making sure that we have a viable process that is supported and strengthened, that there's opportunities to have strengthening influence by city processes that allows businesses to flourish and have a path to success.
Thank you. 2 seconds under time. Thank you, Chris. Well said. Matt.
My wife and I came here back in the late 80s and from Southern California, and to tell you the truth, never thought we would stay. But I graduated in accounting at BYU and started at Hawkins Cloward Simister over here close by, but is no longer around. And I soon realized very quickly that Orem and Provo, especially Orem, is such a great place to live. It has a small town feel, yet you can access so many great amenities and so many great people here that now, fast forward 35 years later, obviously I'm still here. We've raised our 5 kids here, and 4 of the 5 have decided to grow their families here and start businesses here because it's such a great environment. We're at a crossroads. Orem has a small town feel to it, but it's growing to the point now where we've got some issues that need to be attended to. Growth being a huge one. Traffic, things like that come as growth occurs, and we work together with people and businesses and the city, and we make it all work. I think we all have the same goals in mind to move forward and work together and make Orem even better.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt. Jen. Yeah, I've got it here. I noted 10 seconds, but I don't think I spoke loud enough, so I'll be a little bit more loud from the...
Orem, Utah, you guys, I feel like Orem is Mayberry. It is such a great place to raise a family, and there are so many great things about it. And we face challenges here just like cities face all across the country and even the world. Some of those are, and these are not challenges that are just here in Orem, Utah. So housing, transportation, all of those things. I think one of our biggest challenges, though, is that the world around us is growing. Utah Valley is expected to double in size within, I think, by 2065. So how are we going to respond to that? How are we going to manage that? What does Orem look like in that context? And I think solving that is our number one challenge. And then we need to do that through collaborating. And I think we've got some room to grow there. So I would say, how do we collaborate to solve the challenges that we'll face going into these next several years?
Okay, thank you. Crystal.
Again, like all the other candidates have said, Orem's an amazing place. We live in probably one of the best cities in the world, is what I would say. And I think what makes it so great is our neighborhoods. We have these amazing neighborhoods and schools around them that give us these small communities within Orem that allow the whole community to feel like we are that small town or give us that Mayberry feel. As I have spoken with residents all over Orem, the two biggest concerns that I hear are the influx of high-density housing and traffic concerns. Orem is 95% built out. We do not have a lot of land left. Our infrastructure is already in place, so changing that infrastructure to meet the demands that high-density housing would bring is very concerning to a lot of citizens. Traffic has already exponentially grown, and bringing in more high-density housing makes people think it's just going to get worse. So I think how we handle growth, specifically with high-density housing and traffic concerns, are probably the two biggest concerns here in Utah Valley, or in Orem.
Okay. And Utah Valley, no doubt. Thank you. Okay. Spencer.
I think one of the biggest challenges is that just so many people want to live here in Utah County, and the ones that are here don't want to leave. And so what that leaves us with, the challenge being, of course, is growth. And how do we grow? And the answer is we need to grow responsibly. And I've given that answer a lot and oftentimes get questions of, what does that mean, grow responsibly? And what that means to me is that anytime we do a development with the little land that we have left, we need to be thinking of the ramifications that it will have in the long term. We need to be thinking, is there enough parking? Because if there's not enough parking, then those cars will spill into the neighborhoods. We have to think, does this fit the neighborhood? How is this going to affect the neighborhood? A large apartment complex in the middle of one of our beautiful neighborhoods probably isn't the right fit. And so we have to think of all of these different things. How is it going to affect traffic? How is the outflow, the inflow, the egress? All of those things have to be taken into consideration, and we need to be slow and deliberate. And that's what it means to me to be responsible with our growth coming through here in Orem in the upcoming years.
Thank you. Thank you for that. You've each alluded to the fact that we're growing, and there's really not much that we can or perhaps even want to, employ strategies to stop that growth. It's how do we handle that? What kind of stewardship do we, carry in managing that weighty responsibility on how we grow? Because economic growth and residential growth obviously are interconnected. And starting with you, Spencer, you mentioned that that we've got to grow responsibly. What are some strategies that can be employed to grow responsibly? I know the problems are parking, the problems are transportation, the problem is growth. What are some strategies for solutions there?
Yeah, so I think some of the solutions when it comes to parking, it really just comes down to what will we approve and what will we not approve. If we're approving apartments with the idea that the people that live there are only going to have one car, then we're going to fail. So we need to be realistic, and we need to be studying, well, how many cars do people really have and how many spots are really necessary? So that's just a simple decision of only allowing projects that have really thought this through, that have studied it out and figured it. And so that what it really comes down to on City Council is zoning and what projects are approved and disapproved, and do they answer these concerns? Have they done the studies and done the work? And if they haven't, then it's not just, oh, well, let's not do it. The answer is, go back to the drawing board, tell us how this is going to work. Help us understand where all these people's cars are going to go, because far too often the answer is just simply, oh, well, the young people don't have cars these days, and that's not working, and it's not been a solution in other projects, and so we can't keep repeating that.
Thank you. Crystal, what do you think are solutions here? What are we looking at as far as how we manage the question of high density and traffic? What are some solutions for Orem?
Again, Orem is 95% built out. We don't necessarily have the space to put in all the high-density housing that is maybe wished for by other people for our city. So looking at ideas outside of the box, like ADU apartments in homes, that's a great way to allow for more housing without compromising the integrity of our neighborhoods that make Orem the wonderful place that it is. If we are going to build higher density things, I think we need to make sure that zoning is appropriate, however many units are there and things like that. But also, I think we need to focus on property that's for ownership and not for rental. The American dream isn't to rent for the rest of your life. It is to own property. And so if we are going to be Family City USA, we should be facilitating that for the citizens of Orem.
Okay, thank you. So Jen, how do we facilitate that for the citizens of Orem?
My
Now-
dad.
Go ahead.
My dad and I were talking about this the other day, and he said, Jen, all of us are smarter than one of us. And I thought, yeah, that's pretty good. I think we have a strength in Utah, and I think that is like we have this Utah way where we work together, and it's like based in our pioneer ancestors. They worked together to build our state, and I think any one of those issues, whether it's high density housing or traffic or whatever, there's 30,000 different solutions that we could brainstorm and bounce ideas around. I don't have the answers to all of those, and I'm guessing none of you guys do either. So what it comes down to is how well we're willing to work together, how well we're willing to solicit input. How are we going to do the research? How are we going to collaborate to lift our city together? And I think the answer is we are going to collaborate.
Okay, I would hope that that would be everyone's position, is that we would collaborate and work together. And I do believe that is the overarching way to approach these. But I'm curious to know, and Matt, maybe you can take us there a little bit. Do ADUs really bring us to a place of getting closer to solving the solution of finding places to live?
Well, I've also been an appraiser for 27, 28 years, and I have been out in the communities all around Utah Valley and Salt Lake Valley appraising homes. And I think ADUs are a great idea if you need affordable housing, or if you need a young couple for their first place, a little one-bedroom or two-bedroom apartment. If their parents or their aunt and uncle have a basement and they want to gain a little extra revenue for them and make their income a little greater, and wow, we can get that young couple in that basement with a little lower rent than they would pay somewhere else. Obviously, the city needs to get involved and make sure the parking is right, make sure we don't have a lot of cars on the street and a lot of neighbors being detrimentally affected, with a lot of cars and a lot of traffic at midnight or something like that. But I think it's a great opportunity to figure out that affordable housing issue and that demand for small 1-2 bedroom places in people's basements. It's a win-win, I think, for the homeowner and for the people looking for maybe their first place, or even putting an elderly mother or grandmother in their basement.
Well, that's happening now. I mean, it's already underway.
Yeah.
I think we could all probably, by a raise of hand, just vote and show how many of us are already accommodating that. So, Chris, tell me, I mean, other than ADUs, how do we accommodate? And it was said 95% of the growth is already, filled in Orem, and yet, having visited a report just recently about housing in Utah County, only 15% of our residents in Utah Valley can afford a modest mortgage on 2 incomes.
Yeah.
So how can a city or even a region, even if we were to collaborate, and I know that we will, how do we begin to even chip away at this problem that there are only 6 other states in the nation whose median house income is higher than Utah? We've gone that far up. So how do we begin to, address this elephant in the room and begin to chip away at this amazing, sizable issue? What does a city have? What can a city do?
Well, the city has the opportunity to look at, the grants that come federally to see what they can do for housing that will create a little bit more of the affordable housing opportunities. They also can look at in the land that is still available in those commercially viable spots that aren't impacting local neighborhoods, but yet are in an area of the city and the community where we could encourage development of like a twin home or townhome or some of the other kinds of things that will allow that home ownership, but also families to come and live there. Other approaches, duplexes, fourplexes that are already existing and can be built out in some of those areas. As the city continues to look to the future, there are current neighborhoods, and I think we need to employ that process of including all of the neighborhoods within Orem to find areas that could be enhanced, reinvigorated, to be remodeled, or to be in some way, sometimes even an older home that's now dilapidated, to possibly have it removed and put in a newer home in its place. So some of those kinds of effective planning, thought processes, and including all of the neighborhoods of Orem so that all are involved and included would be a powerful way, I think, that would help that assist that problem.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Shifting gears a little bit here, and I think about Orem's stellar record for caring for the first responders, and truthfully, Orem's reputation for safety at every level. What specific measures will you advocate to address the concerns about increasing crime rates in certain areas and maintaining public safety in our community? One of the things that I've noted in our community is that there are 4 or 5 cars out in front of our homes, because we are, in fact, kids are living back at our home. And so cars are getting broken into, even in my hometown of Spanish Fork. So, Jen, I'd like to start with you. What specific measures will you advocate for to address concerns about increasing crime rates in certain areas of our communities?
That is a great question, and I actually spoke with our police chief, Josh Adams, several days ago, and I was so impressed with him. And I asked him about increased crime rates. I said, what are you seeing? What's happening in our city? And I want you to think for a minute what you think the #1 increase in crime might be. Just think. It was domestic violence. Domestic violence is far outpacing any other crime in our city. So when you talk about crime in specific areas, what can we do? Sure, increase surveillance and those kinds of things, but I think we have a bigger issue, and I think that's domestic violence, and I think there's a lot we can do to that. I think strengthening our families. I think make like an education campaign, letting our citizens know that A, this is an issue, and B, it doesn't have to be, and C, if you need help, here's what you do. You know, so I think it's looking at it more holistically rather than, okay, this is one little aspect in the city is seeing more crime. Yes, let's address that. Let's put more police on watch there. But let's look at it broader and say, wow, there's actually an even bigger issue that we need to address.
Okay, thank you. Spencer, what are your thoughts about how we support our first responders and ensuring that they have our advocacy for keeping our communities a safe place to live?
So, I mean, I think a lot tonight we've discussed growth. And with growth, our police department needs to grow. The more people we have, the more officers we need. There's going to be more demands placed on them. And so that's something that I would advocate for as we're moving funds around and as things grow and change. I would want to advocate for more officers, because ultimately that's what they need. 4 years ago, it was officer pay, and we've largely addressed that concern. Of course, they'll take more, and we always need to make sure we're staying on top of it. But ultimately now that we've gotten competitive with our salaries, we need to be focused on making sure that we have enough officers so that we are not overstretching the officers that we do have.
Okay, thank you. So, Crystal, we've talked about domestic violence as maybe something that would require, and I believe Jen did a great job of describing that still remains a top issue. And our officer compensation and making sure that we're hiring quality individuals that have a special heart to serve their community. What else can we do to support the economic vibrancy of the community while maintaining a safe environment and a safe neighborhood?
Yeah, I think that making sure we have enough officers, like Spencer said, is one of the best things that we can do. And speaking with John Savage, who is I'm endorsed by the Fraternal Order of Police, and he let me know that he's with the Fraternal Order of Police. He let me know that we're woefully behind in how many officers per 1,000 people we need. The national average is 1.5 officers per every 1,000 people, and we're at about 1.1 or 1.2. So I think we need to increase that. Another thing is we have mental health officers that can help out in specific cases. So increasing the number of mental health officers we have, if we need more of those, and just supporting them. If we aren't there for them, they can't be there for us when we need them the most. So we need to make sure we're taking care of them. And another concern that I heard from the Fraternal Order of Police is that in the past, our officers have had to choose between having enough officers or having good enough pay and being able to have enough people for time off and things like that. So making sure that that's not a trade-off that our first responders are making would be another way that we can support them so that our community is supported in return.
Okay, thank you. Matt, then Chris, just some thoughts about safety in our neighborhoods.
Well, I think criminals need to know that if you're going to commit a crime, you're going to get arrested, that we're going to hold the line here and we're going to enforce the law. I don't think we have a risk of being some of these large cities in our nation that went through this defund the police argument that they made, and we all probably looked at that, and everybody in this room looked at that as ridiculous, right? I believe government's primary role, is to protect our life, liberty, and property. So as a city of Orem, if you're not putting your police and your fire and your first responders first in protecting the life, liberty, and property of its citizens, then we need to redirect our priorities, in my opinion. That is paramount. Criminals need to know that it doesn't pay to commit crimes in Orem, Utah.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Chris, the final word on safe neighborhoods.
Thank you. Well, professionally, I'm involved in technology that actually helps first responders and those that are involved in this process and what they do with their lives. So it's called Safety Reimagined. It allows public safety personnel, so we need to invest in personnel, have enough personnel on the street and to do what they need to do, but also give them the technology that they need to help them solve the issues that are before them. If we have a challenging area within the city, there are now cameras that are able to detect movement, detect gunfire, record and monitor license plates, and also alert the emergency response centers when those kinds of things happen. So we need to not only have more personnel, but also the technology that will allow them to be safer and catch those criminals in a much more quick and efficient way. So all of those things need to be invested in, looked at, and applied for. And again, federal grants for that particular program is available, and I know the city uses many of those processes to have that happen.
Okay, thank you. Some of you were able to, as we visited in the lobby on our way in, heard a little bit about my background, that I, really kind of built my, my professional career around small business. I'm a bootstrapper. I've never really gone out and sought, VC funding for the things that I've done. And so I come from what I believe is the fabric of America, the entrepreneurial spirit. And I'd like to maybe just visit with each of you about your thoughts on how we ensure Orem's economic future for the small business entrepreneur that thinks that Orem is the place to come. Tell me a little bit about that. Some of you obviously come from a business background, but not all of you do. But I still subscribe to the idea that the America dream is to grow something, to own something and grow it. Matt, let's start with you. What are your thoughts? How do we ensure Orem's economic future for our small business community?
Being a small CPA firm here in Orem, I've got a couple partners, and we do a lot of tax returns and a lot of consulting and accounting for small businesses. And I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, and I used to have an ATM business where we would fill ATM machines all over the state, or I would flip homes here and there, find a home that needed to be fixed up and fix it up and maybe make a little profit on it, or my CPA practice and an appraiser. I'm an appraiser and go out and appraise homes, and I have a lot of clients that are entrepreneurial minded. And you want to say, well, get government out of the way, right? But you also have to have government as a partner that encourages you and makes an environment in the community that lets you survive and thrive. We've got 2 incredible universities here in this valley that provide educated workers and motivated workers that you can use in these small businesses and really thrive. And they're hardworking and want to be entrepreneurial themselves.
Great.
So it's a win-win.
Thank you. Awesome. Tell me, Jen, if you were just to take a minute and talk about this American dream, what would you do as a city council woman to help? Sorry, that was only one. That was not enough time. to help that dream be a reality for many of the residents of Orem, especially our small business community?
So we actually, my husband and I and some others started a small business several years ago, and we started in our apartment actually in Provo while we were students, and then we moved to Orem where we were at Canyon Park Technology Center for years and years until the last couple they moved north. But we've lived that dream, and I think it is awesome to have it accessible to everyone. I think for businesses to thrive, they need a few things, and I think one of those is labor. You know, where are we going to get the people to work? And I think we are in a great spot to help deliver labor. We've got BYU right here. We've got UVU right here. In fact, our business was going to start in California. That was my preference because that's where I was from. And he said, no, we are going to start here because that is where the labor is. BYU is a great place to draw labor from. And UVU at the time was smaller. It's gotten much bigger now. Great place to draw labor from. So they need labor. They need customers. So they need people. I think one of the reasons that the University Mall development is doing so well is that they put people there, and then they put the businesses there. So that's a match right there. All those businesses have immediate customers. Is that my time?
Yep.
Okay. Well, access to business and be business friendly as far as government regulation goes. So.
Thank you. Spencer, how do we work with government agencies then? Jen mentioned that it's, and Matt did too, that they have a place. Is it fair to say that as a city councilman, you would work with these government agencies to and collaborate with them in how to shape the future of Orem City, especially for our small business community?
Yeah, absolutely. I come from a small business background, and the way we interact with these government agencies, or more importantly, the way these government agencies and cities interact with businesses really affects how well they can do. Prior to moving here to Orem, my wife and I built, owned, and operated Papa Murphy's Pizza franchises in Las Vegas area. And we built 4 in the end before we sold them and then moved here to Orem. And we quickly found that not all cities, not all governments worked with us the same. And our very first store took 7 months from what our scheduled grand opening was to get it open. Now turn a page to as we come here to Orem, and I set a desk up surrounded by boxes in my new house here in Orem, and I call the city and I say, how do I start a business here in my home? And they give me all the answers. They send me an email, all of the forms and everything that I need. And I had a business license, I think, in a week, and they told me what inspections. And when the inspector showed up, I was prepared for it because they told me exactly what to expect. And that's what business owners need here. They need to know exactly what to expect, and then we need to deliver as a city. Okay,
thank you for that. Let's see. Let's pivot over to Chris for a little bit here. With this idea of the American dream, and the idea that maybe home ownership is part of that, growing a business is part of that, what would you do as city council? In the city council, in order to work collaboratively with these other agencies. And I'm thinking specifically of MAG, the Mountain Land Association of Governments. I'm thinking of UDOT. I'm thinking of UTA. What's the role of a city council member in working collaboratively with those other agencies?
Well, we're all in this together, right? UDOT has roads. UTA has buses and also needs to have transportation take place. So as a business owner for 42 years, my father started a business here in Orem in 1952. So I've been here for a long time. I've watched State Street as a newspaper boy from the age of 11 through 16. I deliver newspapers along State Street. So just watching the interaction of how our roads work, when UDOT tore State Street up and had it vacant and we had struggles getting business customers into our property. We need to work very closely and work closely with businesses, work very closely with all of our neighbors who are regional neighbors that are involved in all of those specific government agencies that can help us. We need to build and develop an entrepreneurial spirit where those who want to come, like someone's going to open a pizza shop or whether it be a CPA firm or anything else, we need to make sure that we have an environment where we foster that entrepreneurial spirit, and once that's grown, then be able to help them to stay here in Orem, provide them the incentives and the culture that will allow them to be strong in what they do, building upon all the employees and other things that they have in their factor. So I think those are all part of the processes. Build those strong features.
Okay, great, thank you. So Crystal, what have the other candidates missed? What could you add that hasn't already been said about working collaboratively with other government entities to help solve our problems and really bolster this entrepreneurial spirit, right? Government overreach isn't that great for a lot of these small businesses. So where's that balance? And
So I think when it comes to a city council member working with other entities, the job of the city council would be to represent the will of the citizens of Orem to these other entities, to make sure that the small business owner is not getting lost in the shuffle of what all of these other entities would like to do in with our city, that we make sure that their voices are heard through our representation. That would be the first thing. Second is, again, less government regulation, get out of the way and let capitalism, let the free market do its job. Let businesses thrive on their own. However, as a city and a city council, we can do things to support them and facilitate them in important ways, like making sure that they have good access to their business through roads and things like that. I think State Street's such a great example of this. Orem is a very unique city in that we don't have this city center like many other cities do. We have State Street, which is about 5 miles long, and that's our city center, which is amazing. And lining it is thousands, hundreds, maybe 1,000 small businesses. So how can we support those small businesses and make access to them better and easier so that they can thrive in our city?
Thank you. I'd love to do a follow-up question and ask some more specifics on that. And some of them have been touched on, but as we wind down on our time here, I should have mentioned at the outset that we are missing one of our candidates with us tonight, Jeff Lambson, and our thoughts are with him and his family at this time. And at the end, we do have an audio piece that we asked him to assemble for us as we do our concluding remarks, and we will get to that in here in just a minute. But before we do that, my final curiosity would be for you each to answer the following question. What rumor about you or about your stance and platform would you like to take this forum and perhaps clarify? What lies have been said about, what rumors are being shared about your viewpoints, your perspectives? Let's start this time with, Crystal, let's start with you. What would you like to clear the air about?
I don't know that I have anything I really need to clear the air on. I quite honestly don't listen to rumors and things like that. It's just not how I live my life. I just love our community. I love Orem. I love our schools. I love our neighborhoods. We live in such an amazing place. And instead of focusing on, the random things that people may say here or there, I really just want to focus on doing what I can to support our amazing city for the people who live here.
Excellent, thank you. Spencer, anything you'd like to clarify for those that have...
The only rumors I've heard is that I listen too much, that I work too hard, that I collaborate, maybe more than I should. Those are... but no, in all seriousness, this campaign has been fantastic. I think all of the candidates have tried really hard to not get into the mudslinging and name calling. And why should we? We've got 6 fantastic candidates. They're all very qualified. And, I think our qualifications and our stances and whatnot speak for themselves. We don't need to throw mud.
Thank you. Chris.
Well, and again, I agree. Those that are involved in the current process as candidates are all wonderful and powerful. I think sometimes some of those that support us have tried to put out half-truths or misleading in some ways. So I think that's part of the challenge. So one is that I've been told that I'm for 10,000 apartments on State Street, that I'm not. And another would be possibly that the challenge of having streets that are currently in Orem will be widened and all your homes will be destroyed. So hurry, be careful, because there's a fear factor. So I don't believe any of those things are true. I know our current council is working on making sure that those things are protected and cared for. And I vow to, in the opportunities that I'll have to serve as a future council member, would be to make sure that we maintain and strengthen the integrity of the city, that we also have in public spaces, allow everyone to have a view, to have them respected, to have that be dignified, and allow them to not be booed or name-calling or clapped or not clapped or brought out specifically by name and derided. So that would be my hope.
Thank you. Thank you. Jen, share with us some thoughts.
Is this on? All right. Well, I don't know. I kind of wonder if I must be doing something wrong because I'm hearing stuff about me. So let me just make a list. I'm super pro high-density housing. I super want the bus rapid transit on every street in the city. I want to ride in all of the roads and take your homes. I want to defund the police. I'm anti-family, and I eat small children. So I want to say that none of that is true. And I do appreciate our current council members here, or our candidates here, that they haven't been spreading these things. But I think some of the people, like Chris said, that support us have been spreading those things. And I hope that if people have questions, they'll ask me. I think on the whole, actually, our city has done a pretty good job of coming together and heeding the counsel of our governor and some of our other local leaders to be peacemakers, and I love, love, love that. I just want it to go a step further, and let's cut with the half-truths, let's quit the bald stuff, and if you have a question, come ask me.
Thank you. Matt, have you been criticized for eating small children, or what would you like to dispel?
With a little extra ranch. Yeah, a little side of fries. No, I haven't been. I don't know. I haven't been really attacked heavily. Yeah, there's been some things said that I'm like, wow, I own apartments along State Street, evidently, but I'd love to know which apartments I own along State Street, but I don't. Also, I guess the Prop 2 thing kind of surprised me, how people would come after us and want to know exactly how we voted on that 2 years ago. And I mean, I was a tennis coach at Mountain View for 12 years. I've been employed by Alpine School District through coaching and put 5 kids through all the schools, Orem Elementary, Orem Junior, Mountain View, and the school district's great. Yes, I think it needs to be split. I think we could knock it out of the park as our own district. I think we've got incredible administrators and families and teachers here in Orem with 3 high schools, and wow, we could really do a bang-up job of our own school district. And sometimes I'm attacked for that opinion. I'm just a citizen, Yeah. I weighed that decision and made one as a father and as a citizen of Orem.
I'm sure you talked a lot about that last night, is my impression, right, about Prop 2. Well, our closing question really isn't a question. It really is an opportunity for each of you to share with us, what it is that you stand for, what it is that we would, as a community, be better off for having you in the seat as a city council member. And share with us what it is that you feel you personally would have impact for the future of Orem. Let's go in alphabetical order by first name, and I had to write these down to make sure I got it right. So it goes Chris, then Crystal, and then we'll have, is Jeff's audio ready for us? At the end. You want it at the very end? All right. Well, you just all right. We'll go out of alphabetical order then. So go Chris, Crystal, Jen, Matt, Spencer, as if I knew you that long, all of 48 minutes. And then Jeff will listen to his audio at the end. All right, Chris.
Well, my name's Chris Kilpack, and I'm excited for the opportunity to serve the citizens of Orem. I've lived here my whole life. I've had the opportunity to have leadership. The first mission president of Orem, when Orem was created, that mission, and had 450 fantastic new children of mine that were in almost every home in Orem, and had the privilege of being with them in many of those. So because of my leadership, because of the opportunity to own a business here and on State Street, I feel that I have qualities and characteristics. I got degrees in engineering and also a master's in business administration from BYU. So also living here my whole life and running a business here on State Street and actually striving to do those things that would help Orem become better, I just want to continue to give back. To serve. This is a place for us all to serve, to lift. I think as we work together in unity, by neighborhoods will be strengthened, and Orem will continue to be the city it's always intended to be, a family, and a family of ones, a family of individuals, made up some with a family with the nuclear family and others with just one individual in a place of living. We all need to come together as a family, work together, be kind, serve and lift and strengthen each other. That's my intent as your next city council member. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Crystal.
So why vote for me? Why support me? I think I can bring a unique voice to the city council. I'm a mom. That's been my main job for the past 15 years. My oldest is 15 years old. For the past 10 years, I have served on the PTA in our schools here. I currently serve on Windsor's PTA as the advocacy vice president as well as fundraiser chair. I'm on Canyon View's PTA as fundraiser and at Timpanogos High School as fundraiser. I'm in the community. I'm serving and working with and for our community, and I'm looking for ways to expand that. I love that I can represent people. So I think that we come to better conclusions when we have a diversity of perspective looking at different issues. I have the perspective of a mom. I have the perspective of the person who does all the grocery shopping and runs the errands around the town, taking my kids to and from places. That's what I do. That's who I've been. And I think that's a needed perspective on our city council so that we can make better decisions to make sure that we are supporting the lives of everybody who lives here. For all of our residents. We live in such an amazing place. Let's make sure that we are preserving the parts we love about Orem and improving wherever we can. And I ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal. Jen.
So the first time I came to Orem, the first time I remember coming to Orem, I think I was probably 16, so it was like 10 years ago. And okay, thank you. And we were at the SCERA, where they do the plays, and I was sitting on the grass, looking at the theater, and behind it were these spectacular mountains. It was beautiful, and it was so magical, and that might have had something to do with the boy that was sitting next to me, but I remember that moment. It was magical. And every time I've come back to Orem since, I've thought, this place is magical. We love it here. When we decided to move here, my husband and I looked for 5 years. We'd go to all the different communities, went to Provo, went north, went south, and we decided that Orem was where we wanted to raise our family. And my kids said to me a few weeks ago, Mom, we live in the best place. Not the best state, but the best place, and they are right. Our love of the city has driven us to get involved and get engaged in so many ways. I've served the committee for decades. I've run 2 youth nonprofit organizations. I helped advocate for the new rec center and the library hall, and my heart is here with the city. And I think I have the skills to help us. I have 25 years of professional experience, and I'm a student at BYU getting my master's degree in public administration. And I think that is really helpful in this role in government. So I think those things all help me be a great candidate for this job, and I love our city, so I just ask for your support. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. All right, now we're into the M's. Matt.
As I mentioned before, I graduated from BYU in accounting, and I got my CPA. And early on, I was on an audit team, and we would audit Juab County, we would audit Provo City, we would audit Wasatch County. So I've got a perspective in auditing small governments or larger governments. I mean, people from California would say those are all very small governments, right? But diving into small government accounting and auditing them and seeing the numbers and analyzing the numbers, I think I have a perspective maybe that some don't. I could maybe see some numbers and some opportunities or some ways to cost cut or to expand. Also, as an appraiser for many years, I know what brings value to a home or a condo or a townhome, and I know what tends to take off value. So when reviewing developments that are being proposed or things, neighborhoods, and how they're going to be affected by traffic or by a development, I think I've got a good experience and a good backing with being a certified residential appraiser. Also, being involved in the community, obviously raising my family here, being a coach, with the high school, and just enjoying living here. We moved from Provo 22 years ago and set up shop in Orem. And like everybody here, Orem's a place to be. And it's in demand by a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that causes some,
Yeah.
some problems. But hey, we got this. Right?
That's right. What makes us great makes us very attractive. Okay, Spencer.
Throughout this campaign, I've learned that what people are looking for is they're looking for a leader who is going to listen and collaborate and to really learn the needs of the people. And I believe that I can do that for you. It's no surprise, I'm a huge supporter of our first responders. I am endorsed by Fraternal Order of Police. I serve on the Public Safety Commission. But how did I get there? 4 years ago, the Orem Police Department invited me to come and learn and listen, and I said, okay, I'm in, let's do it. And little did I know that would lead to the Orem Police Department tasing me, putting me into a giant suit and having their dog come and attack me and take me to the ground and leave bite marks. You should have seen the city employees very concerned when they saw the blood. They said, did they sign a waiver? I've put on the body cam. I've gone in the police cars. I've trained with them. I've shot guns with them. I've done all these things, and it's because I was willing to learn and listen. And I know there's not an equivalent to all these things with all the different issues, but I'll take the same energy, the same willingness to learn as I have with the police department into every single issue that there is to make sure that I understand it before I go ahead and make decisions. And that's my promise, to be accessible and to be that leader that is going to learn the issues before I come and make a decision.
Okay. Well timed. Thank you very much. Okay, do you have the audio cued for Jeff Lambson?
Good evening. My name is Jeff Lambson. I'm sorry I'm not able to be there with you this evening. My dear wife Darla is currently undergoing chemotherapy treatment at the Huntsman Cancer Institute in Salt Lake City. And during this critical time in her care, when her immune system is so compromised, her doctors have advised me to avoid large gatherings and to reduce the risk of exposure to illness. As such, I've chosen to heed their advice and support my wife 100%. Thank you for understanding during this challenging time. By way of introduction, I am a proud lifelong Orem resident. This is where I grew up, went to school, and met my beautiful wife, Darla. Orem has been the nurturing ground for our 6 children. It's a place close to my heart. Orem is home. My commitment to Orem runs deep. Prior to serving on the City Council, I have served in many different ways and on different city commissions. I have also served in significant leadership roles in other charitable service organizations. I have always sought to make a positive impact. My experience as president and CEO of a local Orem business gives me firsthand knowledge of challenges faced by small business owners. When I ran for city council 4 years ago, I committed to listen and represent the Orem citizens. I have tried to keep that promise. As a concerned and thoughtful council member, I have truly listened to and represented the citizens, whether it was voting against an Orem-only split from Alpine School District, or voting for the moratorium on State Street, or many other situations. I have always and will continue to listen to you. I wanted to take a moment and go over some of the most pressing issues that we're facing, as well as tell you what I have done in the last 4 years. I wholeheartedly support our Orem City staff and employees, and I wholeheartedly support our first responders, our police and fire departments. I am endorsed by both the Orem Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge 33, and the Professional Firefighters of Orem, Local 2742. And our wonderful Orem City employees. We just did a survey of the employees with 90% participation rate, and 80% of those participating said that for their careers, Orem is going in the right direction. Growth. Now this is always a concern. The key is how we manage that growth. A slow, thoughtful, methodical approach with smart, reasonable development where it makes sense, and directing it away from areas and neighborhood where it does not make sense, is a reasonable way to manage that growth. There's a group called Stand for Orem that I understand is saying that I am for thousands of high-density apartments on State Street. Let me set the record straight. As a member of the City Council, I voted for the moratorium that stopped that from happening. As the saying goes, don't believe everything that you hear, especially during election season. So if you hear anyone saying that I am for thousands of apartments on State Street, will you please do me a favor and set them straight and tell them that that is not true. The individuals spreading this rumor know it is not true, but are choosing to spread half-truths anyway. These falsehoods remind me of the wave of division that swept through our city last year during the Prop 2 campaign. As I listened during last year's Prop 2 vote, I was disheartened by the disparaging comments made by members of our own city against our education community, especially teachers. Educators need more support, resources, and encouragement, not less. These same attacks and falsehoods are already popping up again, but now against me and other candidates. I stand strongly against those comments and these kinds of attitudes. I also stand by my voting record on critical issues that our community has faced regarding education. I voted against the Prop 2 that came before the City Council to put it on the ballot, and I voted no on Prop 2 during the 2022 general election. Again, this was because of listening to the citizens of Orem, who overwhelmingly did not want that on the ballot. 72% of Orem residents believed it was not the best option, and I am pleased to be a part of them. As we move forward, if and when a split of the district does happen, I am committed to supporting the educators and following good processes. In closing, civility in the face of opposition requires the best of us. We can do better than we did last year. The political battles of the day can too easily consume us if we do not step back and consider what is most important, and that is each other. I know that we all want what is best for our children and schools and our community at large, even if we disagree on how to best achieve that. Despite my best attempts, I may have fallen short at times to live up to those lofty standards, but I will redouble my efforts to listen to and to be the better angels of our nature. I hope you will join me. Thank you. I'm Jeff Lambson, and I ask for your vote.
Thank you for preparing that and bringing that this evening. How about a round of applause for all of our candidates this evening? I know something of what it would be to sacrifice a little to be here tonight, and I'm grateful that each of you took the time to be away from your normal course of responsibilities, wherever they may lie. And so it's no small thing. Thank you each. We appreciate SCERA for hosting us. Another applause for Adam J. and his great team. We sure love and appreciate them. And then what we'll do now then is dismiss from here, and then we're just going to, just mingle out in the lobby area. You're welcome to stay until around the 8 o'clock hour, and I think Adam and his team would like to kind of wind things down after 8 o'clock. So thank you each again. One of the unintended consequences of moderating is that I get to know each of you better, and I'll be watching the results of the vote closely, and I just have a hunch that we might be working together and our paths will cross some more in the future. So thank you again for being here tonight. Thank you all for coming. Thank you.